Must be casual Thursday.
And they said, but it's only for 118, and that's gotta get all on the same page. And there were no plans. Mr. Ryan, Cecere. Hey, Bill. Yeah. Bill. There were no plans. Yeah, it just didn't make any sense.
Gave the code.
That's not
I can't predict anything.
right now you should. Go around tomorrow.
Please do.
Zoned up. I'm okay.
I hereby announce and state that adequate notice of this meeting was provided by virtue of a resolution scheduling time, date, and place of the meetings of the Borough Council of the Borough of Morris Plains for the year 2026. Which resolution was adopted by the Borough Council on January 7th, 2026, and published in the Morris Newsbee and the Daily Record, and by posting of such resolution on the bulletin board, the Borough Hall, and website. All the above actions being in accordance with NJSA 10:4-6 at SEC. Would you please join me for the pledge of allegiance and prayer? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almighty God, we we ask you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that in fulfilling their public trust, every deliberation will result in actions that will promote the common good and general welfare for all the people of Morris Plains. Amen. Notice to members of the governing body of borough staff, any use of electronic devices during this meeting shall be used solely for the purpose of borough business. Roll call, please.
Mayor Karr.
Present.
Mr. Bruhn.
Present.
Mr. Houston.
Present.
Mr. Ivey.
Present.
Ms. Kulik. Mr. Pontier.
Present.
Ms. Verga. Present.
We have a special presentation today, this evening, and I'd like to welcome Abigail Higgins and her family. Abigail, I don't know what, May, June, when did you have the? May?
Yeah.
So Abigail received the Girl Scout Gold Award, and she did a project, and she's been 12 years with the Girl Scouts now, right? And so I'd like to ask her to come up and just explain her project and what you've got out of scouting and everything else. So we had a ceremony the Girl Scouts did, and presented her with this at the pavilion. It was great. So come on up, Abigail, and
Where would be the best spot for me?
anywhere right here.
Am I free?
Fantastic. Anywhere you like.
Sure, okay. Hi, so I'm Abby, as you know, and my Gold Award project was entitled Smartphone Super Kids. And basically what I had realized through some research was that kids are getting cell phones younger and younger, and they seem to not fully understand everything that comes with getting a cell phone and entering the online world. So my solution to that was to create an interactive, fun, kid-to-kid curriculum that was online for free and easily accessible. And I was able to present it to a group of Girl Scouts, and it included games teaching them about what to do if they receive a spam message or a spam call, what to do in the face of cyberbullying and cyber harassment, and then also the importance of screen time. And what I found most interesting about this was by the end, I had them all take a final survey about what they had thought about my curriculum. And one of the questions was, do you think you're ready for a cell phone? And what I found interesting was only 80% had said, yes, I am ready, while only 20% had said no. Which, as you may think, like, oh, why not 100%? But what I actually took away from that was that 20% of kids who were able to identify, no, I'm not ready yet, shows the self-awareness they were now able to take upon themselves and have that conversation with their parents, being like, no, I don't think I'm ready yet, even though all of my friends have phones. I want to spend more time thinking about what it is to be in the online world and what it is to have a cell phone as someone my age. And that was so impactful, and one of the reasons why I love scouting, because I get to give back to the community and the world that has given me so much and has equipped me with the skills to be able to give back. So, yeah.
I think I was so impressed, and I really didn't know that this was implemented, right? This project that you did. And can you explain a little bit about the process that you went through at the school and where it's implemented? And
So I had worked with Ms. Shoneman, as some of you might know, is the STEM teacher at Boro School. And she helped me over the course of a year build a program that she thought would actually reach the kids and be interactive while also being educational and finding that balance. And it took about a year. And my original plan was to get it permanently enlisted into the Boro curriculum, but I realized that would take longer than what my time had allowed with my deadline. So instead, I had presented it to the Board of Education, showing them why they should include curriculum like this. To hopefully push that towards future years. And I had sent it out to local churches and local youth groups, camps, to get the word out there and to send out that link so that it could reach more kids.
So again, I was so impressed with this project, and just like other, Boy Scout and Girl Scout projects, it doesn't touch, your projects don't just touch one person or one group, really. So the tentacles really go out far when you do a project like this, and this lasts forever, right? So I'm sure it will improve as technology improves, but to get something in the school to bring awareness to this, and, I can't congratulate you enough for doing this project and for receiving the Gold Award. So, But we do have something, because at the, at your little ceremony there, we had a little short notice. And maybe Rachel can come on up soon. But we were unable to give you what we normally do, right? So, but we do want to present you today with the key to the borough.
Oh, wow.
For your work in becoming
So I've known Abby since she was just a little tiny Girl Scout, and she's moved up through the ranks and has been very involved in many aspects of our Girl Scout service unit. So here in Morris Plains, we have over 100 Girl Scouts in grades kindergarten through 12th grade in high school. And from the very beginning, since Abby was probably in 3rd or 4th grade, has demonstrated leadership and has really elevated a lot of our programming that we provide to our local Morris Plains Girl Scouts. And so I feel very honored to have been a part of that and witness Abby as she grew up from a small girl to now a wonderful young lady who's about to embark on her her college journey. So I know that the skills that you've learned through your Girl Scouting experience will definitely serve you well in your future.
another tidbit. The last time that this award was received by a Girl Scout was 10 years ago. So I mean, I think this is a milestone. I hope it really.
I hope it's not the last one.
No,
No.
I hope this inspires other girls to do this and receive the Gold Award and all the accolades that come with it, because this is going to follow you throughout your entire life. So you should be very proud of it and all the things that you accomplished. And thank you for your participation. You're volunteering for the Girl Scouts. It's so important. So congratulations. Thank you. Well deserved. Thank you. You can hang that on your college wall. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. Just-
Oh, yes. Here, I can get up this side.
I'll go.
You can stay, you can go, it's entirely up to you.
Thank you so
You're
much.
more than welcome, thank you.
Hey, Abby, just before you go, I'm curious just about the program. Do you, because it sounds like a great program, probably should be wider than just Boro. Do you intend to kind of carry that forward?
I intend to keep moving it forward when I go to, I'm going to college in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, so I will be in another state where I hopefully will get to reach out to the local kids. And what works out about that is the elementary school is right down the road from the college I'm attending, so I hope to continue to branch out, so.
That's
yeah.
great. Excellent. Thank you.
Of course.
Congratulations.
We need the parent version of that. All your kids should
Thank
have
you
a
so
cell
much.
phone.
Thank you, everybody, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, thank you. I just moving on to the conference session, and I do have a few things. Our affordable housing, I'm very proud to announce, has been, we are finished with it until June 30th of 2035. The Mount Laurel Judge of Morris, I'll just read this here. The Mount Laurel Judge of Morris County entered into the attached consent order of final compliance certification for the Borough of Morris Plains. It's been a long time coming, but the efforts of the borough's affordable team have paid off. The sole condition set forth in paragraph 9 of this order is completely and totally effective. The borough has achieved the compliance certification that we have been seeking since this committee was formed after the adoption of the amended Fair Share Housing Act of March 20th, 2024. So I'm very proud, and it was a big undertaking by the Affordable Housing Committee and the council, the planning board, our professionals. It started out at 136 affordable units, and we're down to 21 and a half. I don't know how that works, but again, we want affordable housing. It's just not the 5 additional units that goes with those affordable units. We're good for another 10 years, and the borough can move forward. So thank you to everybody who was part of that whole endeavor. Just the other thing I'd like to talk about real fast is about the storm of July 3rd. And I just really want to say thank you to our DPW. The employees are still out there. They're working an extra hour every night, working Saturdays and Sundays for the last weekend and probably again this weekend. But they're out there doing everything they can for cleanup. I'd like to thank really people that don't really get recognized as well as the police and DPW and our fire department, but community center employees who stepped up when we needed to open the community center for cooling and charging. The clerk office and Rosemary really for being available on the weekend when this took place and at night, and Melissa Gibson who does all of our alerts and puts all those out. So some of those came late in the evening or at night or after hours, I'll say, but just thank you to those folks who really stepped up during this storm to keep everybody informed, safe, updated, and comfortable. It was challenging, but we all got through it and pulled together, and hope we don't have another one. We learned a few lessons from this one, like we do with every storm, but I think all in all, I think everything went well. I think Bill really stepped up and with the cable and the internet service for everybody, so thank you. And everybody up here had a task that they've done, that they did, and I think everybody really worked well together. Nancy with the small businesses, Mike with some of the pool stuff and other things in town. Kelly, I know, was working up some things, but everybody really pulled together and did what we had to do to get everybody up and running again. So a huge thank you to everybody. Have anything for Congress?
Nothing for Congress.
Right?
I do, yes. So at the last meeting, I spoke about data centers, the risks to our community, and a request to have the planning board to take action against the possibility of one coming into the borough. Mr. Mayor, your answer to me was that you're not the experts, and then informed us that you went ahead and reached out to our planner prior without looping in the council liaison and used this new and unknown information to stall the discussion. The information we received from our planner didn't include a single new fact about data centers, nothing that I had already put in front of this council. What it did give us was something else, and honestly it's more useful. It confirmed that uses like warehouses, which are banned in some municipalities, were still able to obtain use variances in other jurisdictions. This is my fear and my point in bringing this up entirely. If we don't strengthen our code now, we're not protecting this town, we're just hoping nobody tries. So here's what I'm asking for tonight, 2 things. First, I would like concurrence from the council to draft an ordinance that flat out prohibits 2 uses that don't belong in this borough: data centers and human detention facilities. Regardless of your view on the detention facilities, both are environmentally incompatible with our borough. Second, separate from the ordinance, I want us to formally ask the planning board to revisit the master plan and put in writing that data centers don't fit where this borough is trying to go. The master plan gives the planning board something to point to when they need it. Councilmember Houston has already talked to our planner about this directly. Her view is that an ordinance is the right move here. She's seen this exact approach work in other towns, and she mentioned that if the technology changes down the road and we have some of these concerns get addressed, we can always come back and amend it. But right now, it sends a message that we need to send. So that's my ask tonight: concurrence on drafting of the prohibited use ordinance to update section chapter 5, I believe it is, and formally request the planning board to start the master plan revision.
It's actually 13.5.2A, 12.
12, I mean.
So there you go.
Any comment that I had, Mike, was certainly not meant to stall anything. It was really to inform the council members of the planner's take on things.
Well, you specifically had us wait.
Yeah, because nobody else got any information, so that's the information I got a day or two, or even that night, I forget now.
It's still going to the planning board, there's no reason to hold off.
But it wasn't meant to stall, it was meant to inform. So that's the reason for that. You can use whatever, buzzwords that you like, but there's no reason to stall anything here. It's just to inform everybody, so if you do an ordinance, it's correct. That's the only reason. So, the word stall, I don't think is the correct word. So,
Something that's relevant to this, I think is, we should be aware of with our ordinances moving forward. I just, before the meeting, saw that on July 13th, there was a Supreme Court case. It was a unanimous decision versus the Township of Montville, Monarch Communities LLC. And it actually is a win for municipalities in terms of approval of use variances in cases where the use is considered beneficial. So inherently beneficial uses had continued to receive special consideration, and they still will. But the case determined that applicants can no longer rely solely on a project's public value to justify a variance. So if, for example, data centers are deemed to be of value to the public at large, if in fact it demonstrates that it undermines local planning objectives, then it does not, it substantially impairs the intent and purpose of zoning plan and zoning ordinances. This case demonstrated that it will not meet the requirements of obtaining a use variance. So that's actually helpful to us, but I still think that we should implement the protections that we have at our disposal for these two uses, because I think they would provide an undue burden on our municipal infrastructure.
Yeah, I just to kind of further the point, and kind of just remind everyone from the last meeting, there's Mr. Horan's probably gonna, I don't know, correct me on this, but it's, I guess, Medici versus BPR Co. Use variance standard, which effectively means that if it's not stated in there, it means that it's not approved, right? And the comment that was made last time is the presumption that it's not approved. And as I said last time, we need to do more than just presume things, because to Ms. Verga's point, right, that can be overturned at any point. So if we don't take action and have specific language that specifically prohibits certain things like data centers and detention facilities, then we are opening ourselves up to this. So I agree with Mr. Ivey and Ms. Verga's point. As Mr. Ivey said, right, I've done a bit of research on this already, and I do agree with the motion of moving forward.
Also, there's precedent in Morris Plains for prohibiting uses. In addition to not having them as permitted uses, we have several uses on our code that are expressly prohibited.
Right.
So, in my opinion, these would fall within that as well.
I'm also in support of moving it forward. I think being proactive versus reactive is the right move. I think we've seen what being reactive has done in the past. So I think if we can take steps to strengthen that, to ensure that that does not come to our community, I'm in full support.
I'm just gonna add, isn't there a large amount of water needs for data centers also from cooling, or?
Yes, heavy data water usage, electricity usage,
So there's
and
all,
it loads on the, not stormwater, sewer.
yeah. I've seen, it was the South China Sea, but China's putting them in the ocean, I think, for cooling.
Yeah, and they'll be in space.
Well,
Anywhere else but Morris Plains.
no, I'm just saying, but it made me realize that the usage of water.
Yeah.
And then, Nancy, I thought we had passed the,
We passed a resolution,
oh,
just in opposition.
Right.
That was back in January, and then in February, we're gonna discuss forming a committee to look into what the next steps were.
right.
So that kind of didn't happen, so here we are. And since we're already looking at the data center use, it seems to make sense to move on both at the same time. There's one thing that I know we have research to do, but I don't think we should go down a rabbit hole on the data centers, but I do think that, and Liz's memo did touch on different sizes of data centers, but I think we should look at the definition closely and see if there's an opportunity to allow servers, because servers can be all different sizes. We have one in this building.
Right.
So we wouldn't wanna prohibit like a business from having their servers on site. So we have to just be careful that we're not making things too restrictive, but I think, generally, we can find a definition that will work.
First of all, I think that the state is taking steps as well, to try to help municipalities on this. I think New York took a big step the other day, to kind of do this, so I think the states are helping us a little bit on this as well. And again, not stalling anything, I was transparent and brought information. I don't know if you guys have the information that you're talking about, but I'd like to see that as well, whatever information you guys have, just so that I'm as informed as you are with stuff. I'm gonna turn it over to you, but if that's the way the council would like to go, we'll put something in the works and move forward.
I have tons of stuff to share.
Sure.
Happy to share.
Anything?
No, that's fine.
Nope, not from this one.
Yes, sir. So, Mike, thanks for bringing the data center forward. I have a bunch of really boring facts and ordinance things I'm not gonna put in there, because nobody really cares at this point. So when we get to it, I'll add all that stuff in there. Just on the, so I've been working on the AV upgrade for the council chambers. So we did actually go out and get quotes through the cooperative RFQ. The good news is that the equipment part of the quotes came back within our budget, within the $70,000 budget. The downside of it is that the labor came back higher. Labor in most of these things is typically double the equipment. So I got a little bit of research to do. I gotta verify if those labor quotes were actually contracted labor rates, which I believe they are. But if they're not, then we have a little bit of leeway there. Either way, I have to work on that to make sure that it fits within the appropriation that we had set. So more to come on that. One thing I do want to bring up, there's been a lot of talk about it in this room and around town as well. Has to do with property maintenance. Specifically, there's a resident property that borders a commercial property on Speedwell Avenue. This particular resident has been reporting a maintenance violation for approximately 2 years. I understand that today, that particular fence was removed from the site. But unfortunately, this only addresses the narrowest violation and doesn't resolve the underlying condition, which now that the fence is gone, the resident's property now has no barrier at all against any adjoining commercial lot. There's no screening conditions. And then there's also lot maintenance issues as well, because now my understanding is that those fence panels are now sitting on the empty lot. They're not cleaned up, so that goes to lot maintenance. So I think that while the attempt was there, I don't think it solved the problem. I think just kind of putting it bluntly, the resident's still unhappy. And it didn't solve the issue. In fact, it made it worse because it actually opened that property up to even more violations. And I think that we need to pursue with the zoning officer issuing violations for that property. I think this has gone on way too long. Little things like getting the fence taken down isn't amounting to really anything. So I think I've asked this before, but I would ask that we actually have the zoning officer issue violations to that commercial property owner. Specifically, I'm talking about the corner property, as everybody knows, is McDonald's, right? The property owner there. I'm requesting that we request that the zoning officer issue violations to that property owner for not keeping their property maintained correctly.
I mean, certainly if that falls underneath that category, then that certainly can be addressed, sure.
Okay, can I ask for your support in going to the zoning officer in requesting those violations?
Absolutely. I don't know, I have to look to see whether there's any, requirement for somebody to have a fence, right,
Well,
anymore? I don't know that, so
there
I
is.
can't.
There is in real estate, if there's a commercial property next to a residential property, the commercial property is required to put up a barrier.
So that, okay,
So
but
it's
again,
commercial
I'm not
versus
sure if you
residential.
guys, again, have looked at this, that's fine, but I would certainly, if there's any kind of fines or whatever that has to go out there, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I just, to kind of further Tyler's point, the way I see it and based on my research, there's effectively 4 things now. There's a blighting factor, which is still active, shall not constitute a blighting factor in an adjoining property. Removing the collapsed fence without replacing it leaves an open, unscreened commercial property boundary abutting a residential yard, right? There's now the landscaping issue, which is now the fence is gone. Landscape, it says in the ordinance, landscaping of all premises shall be properly maintained, hedges and bushes kept trimmed, and from becoming overgrown and unsightly were exposed to public view, and where the same constitutes a blighting factor, depreciating adjoining property, which this would depreciate the property. Sanitation, it goes to, and then just a general nuisance. Any unattractive nuisance which may prove detrimental to the health or safety of children, and structurally unsound fences or structures, use lumber, trash, junk, debris, or vegetation. So we took care of the fence issue, but there's still a bunch of trash and everything over there on that side of the property. So I do think on those 4 alone, and there may be others, I do think because, look, I mean, I've called Mr. Salerno, and I've asked him to call the property owner, and he's done that, but it hasn't gone anywhere, other than them taking the fence down today before the meeting. You know, this is not in the best interest of the residents, and I think that we need to be stronger about it, and I think we need to put our foot down and start issuing violations and fines. Are they gonna amount to nothing, anything? I don't know, but it's a step in the right direction that you know, we can take to show the residents of Morris Plains that we actually care. So and I appreciate, you've already said that you would support me in that, so I appreciate that, and so I look forward to doing that in the next couple of days, so thank you.
Fence is still there on the ground.
The fence was taken down, but I believe the parts of it are still on, they're not on the residence property, they're on the other property, but, you know, they're still there.
Anything else?
That's all I have, thank you.
Nancy?
Yeah, thank you. So at the last meeting in June, I mentioned emergency communications using rave alerts. That took on relevance this month, obviously, as the borough worked to keep residents informed of storm recovery. So at today's senior lunch, we did a quick survey of senior citizens, and we got 21 responses. 5 people requested rave alerts as a push phone call rather than a text message because they may not have a cell phone. So I had asked Chief Karowski about that, and he had, a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned that there are only about 104 people signed up to receive rave alerts that are sent as a phone call versus a text message. So we will continue working with the PD to re-promote this as one of their options for getting communications. They also mentioned that they would be interested in some type of a 5 out of 21 people who returned the survey. Interested in a reverse rave, which is where a resident would call a phone number to hear a recorded message with emergency updates. Some seniors have difficulty getting to the phone quickly, so if it rings, they get stressed out and they can't get to it, goes to voicemail or whatever. So this way they would have the option to call a number and get updates that the borough could put out as needed, or they could put out on a weekly basis, on a regular weekly basis, for not only emergency things, but what's going on in town if they're not receiving an email or a text message or any other type of our borough communications, Facebook, etc. This would be a way for them to just get a brief update of what's going on. So I would like to, with council's permission, just follow up with our IT team and see what capabilities we may already have in-house to just have a recorded line that people could call.
So I think just with the recorded line would be somebody else than IT with that.
Okay.
And we just had somebody here, but that's a line. We may have a line already here,
Okay.
but anyway. But I think also, and I just saw that sheet today, and I was thinking about it, but in a situation like this, when the phone lines were down,
Yeah.
right?
It's not gonna help.
There almost has to, number one would be A, or, you know, they'd have to pick two if they're capable of doing that, right? So
Yeah.
normally, yeah, that would work, but, you know, if it's an emergency like this or some other kind of storm that takes care of or takes out the phone and whatever. So
Yes.
that was just a thought.
Yeah, and to that point, like, there was tremendous work that was done, mostly by the mayor and the police chief, our emergency management team, DPW, fire department, police department, doing spot checks on residents that we knew were vulnerable, utility crews and everyone else under these difficult circumstances. And this was definitely unprecedented for our community, and we know that people are still working almost around the clock on restoration and cleanup. But the best way to move forward, and you mentioned it, Mayor, we learned a lot, is that we conduct some type of an after-action review. So we can really look at what we learned from this emergency and use it to ensure that we're even better prepared next time. To that point, like we talked about how Melissa was involved as our webmaster, she's a part-time employee, pushing out all of the emails and Facebook posts and stuff which were essential. And we currently don't have a backup to do what she does. There's nobody else who can push those out. And if she was on vacation, which is likely on a holiday weekend, she tends to set up her emails in advance so they go out in an automated way. It would have been trouble. So we had some discussions, and the clerk's office agreed that somebody in their office would be trained to be a backup in case of emergency for these kinds of things. And another thing I know we have is those vulnerable residents who are on like a life-saving device that's plugged into electricity. You have a list of that, but you know, and also how we're reaching these vulnerable seniors. I know neighbors are the best way in a crisis like that. And you know, I checked on a couple people, and I know you all were checking on your neighbors, but when services go down, the best thing to do is to know your neighbors. So, you know, we could sort of engage our own residents in some type of volunteer initiative, similar to what we've already done with the police, but even on a more neighborhood basis, where we have people that we know will check in on people and sort of spread the love, so that we can make sure that these people are checked on and reported in if there's an issue. So I just would ask that maybe we could go through it. I know I was on vacation, so I was getting reports from my neighbor about what's going on with my own property and the neighbors. And I think that I kind of felt like I didn't really know what was going on. I came back early to try to see what I could find out, if I could help in any way. But I know that I'm sure the other council members like me would have pitched in and done more had we had a role that was more hands-on. You start to feel like, what can I do to help? So we want to be able to help. So we want to see if there's anything that we can, if the council could learn, what are some, like, do we even have an OEM representative from the council on that committee that talks about? I don't think they're on there.
Well, it falls under the police department, so.
But there's an actual list of members on the website, and there's no list of a council member on there. So just something to look at, just something to look at, so we could maybe help our operational staff in any way we can, or assist with resident communications. Just asking that we maybe do a debrief of the process.
Yeah, and so I've already talked to the chief about that, and we are going to do something along those lines. The other thing that we did talk about would be the benefit of cert, and you know, talk to Lieutenant Guild about that already, and that's going to really ramp up here and get those people certified so that can they could be of assistance. I encourage anybody who is interested in that, in cert, to Ryan's here tonight, but contact somebody in the police, Bob Guild or Ryan or somebody in the police department to join. I mean, the training is useful at your own home and also in situations like this, right? We need people to cover live wires at times where, you know, the police had other emergencies, but you can't leave live wires. So there's all kinds of roles that certain people can play, and I do encourage people to do cert, but you know, just it was a big undertaking, and you know, everybody really. The chief came down. He was home. The chief came down. We were here till about 1:30 or so with the chief from the fire department and the fire marshal Crochet, and you know, going around and surveying the damage and discussing the steps that we were going to take. But yeah, everybody, you know, being involved is good, checking on our neighbors, all that kind of stuff, so, yeah. Every storm you learn something new and it's
Absolutely.
something different and, you get better for the next one, but hopefully there won't be a next one, so. Anything else?
No, certainly.
Approval of minutes, Mr. Bruhn.
All right, Councilmember Bruhn moved the minutes of regular meeting minutes from June 18th, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Houston. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bruhn?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Ivey?
Yes.
Mr. Pontier?
Yes.
Ms. Verga?
Yes.
Approval of consent calendar, Mr. Bruhn.
Thank you. The reports, this first one is for May and June 2026, the building inspector. The rest are all for June 2026. Grant writer, police department, animal control, borough clerk, animal licensing, tax collector, and treasurer. Then we have resolution 2026-885 entitled Resolution Authorizing an Agreement with the State Contact Authorized Vendor, U.S. Bank, for the usage of procurement cards. Resolution 2026-86 entitled Borough of Morris Plains Resolution of Support to Submit a Grant Application to the U.S. Department of Justice for the COPS Hiring Program. Resolution 2026-87 entitled Borough of Morris Plains Approval to Submit a Grant Application and Execute a Grant Contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Improvement to Mountain Way Project. Resolution 2026-88 entitled DL 1994, Chapter 72, State of New Jersey. Resolution 2026-89 entitled Resolution Consenting to the Application Robert DeRigenzo for water usage outside the District of Southeast Morris County Municipal Utilities Authority. Morris Plains seniors be granted permission to park approximately 25 cars at Community Park Pool Parking Lot on Sunday, September 27th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. through Wednesday, September 30th, 2026 at 9 p.m. while on a bus trip to Cape Cod. Have received quotes for the following for the annual senior picnic being held on July 16th. The American Barbecue Company for $2,926.35, and Ronnie's Catering and Barbecue at $2,982.77. That a purchase order be issued to the American Barbecue 94-1 Ford Road in Denville, New Jersey, in the amount of $2,926.35. The employment of Johanna Salima, Teen Center Supervisor, be reinstated effective September 1st, 2026. Philip Wilson be hired as a cleaning maintenance for the community center, teen center house, and outdoor bathrooms at the community park fields pending successful completion of background check at an annual salary of $16,500 effective August 3rd, 2026, prorated. The Knights of Columbus Council be granted permission to serve alcoholic beverages at the annual family picnic on Tuesday, August 25th, 2026 at Community Park Pavilion. The Borough Council approved the membership of Jordan G. Santana, 1101 Harry and Judy Drive, Parsippany, as a member of the Morris Plains Fire Department. The mayor is hereby authorized to execute a developer's agreement with Rivian LLC pursuant to Planning Board Resolution 26-05 on site plan approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. Moving on to reports of committees. Ms. Verga, Finance.
Thank you, Mayor. I touched on communications and the work Melissa did to help with the storm, so I'm gonna move on to, the final thing on communications is the deadline for submissions for Plains Talk is tomorrow. So please email plainstalk@morrisplainsboro.org with your photos and your events articles. Under storm recovery, the mayor mentioned I helped with small businesses, and basically what's going on with that is we're reaching out to our small business community to let them know that if they experienced any hardship, whether it was loss of revenue because they had to be closed, normal business hours, or if they lost inventory or lost power and other reasons for storm-related damage perhaps, there are loans available through the Small Business Administration. But in order to qualify, we need a minimum of 5 businesses to come forward and say they have experienced some rather substantial losses. And then if we get them together as a group, we can put them on a process of going through the OEM to get them applying for these SBA loans. So I did reach out to a lot in person and also on an email. And so far, there have been only 2 that are interested in following through this process. So if you could get the word out, if you talk to any business owners and they're explaining about the hardship, if they missed any opportunity with me, just point them in touch with me and we'll see if we can get some help for some of our business owners. Technology, the finance committee's working with our IT team to come up with a policy for use of AI. It's important for borough staff and also our officials to understand the threats to confidentiality for information that you're sharing with an AI tool, and also inherent errors that require additional human labor to fact check when working with AI tools. So we need to get something in place. It's something that's a need in a lot of municipalities, and so far I haven't found many in Morris County that have passed a policy like this, but this is coming from our liability insurance company that wants us to do it, so that stresses the importance. The clerk's office, in addition to their ongoing work, I want to commend our personnel director, our borough clerk here, who is stepping into her leadership role. She held a staff meeting for the administrative and executive staff, and the finance staff was also in attendance to share updates about what's going on with the building renovation plans, to hear what's on their minds, and to share tips for safety and stress management. She also discussed active shooter training videos, which are available for staff to view. So thank you, Rosemary, for stepping up. She's also been working to onboard our new finance office employee, Maria, with all of her personnel paperwork. And we'll hold a safety meeting next Thursday for all department heads, also required by our Meljif insurance company, to discuss workplace safety initiatives. All the department heads must attend. She also worked to hire a new cleaning person for the community center, which you saw on the agenda tonight. And the one that we hired here for Borough Hall seems to be doing a fine job, so that's a plus. Under finance, you saw Resolution 88, extending the 10-day grace period for the August 1st tax deadline. And that's because we received our county tax rate just this week, so that gave us the final tax numbers, which are now in your bills that are going to go out this week, and they're due now with the grace period by August 21st without any penalty. You also saw use of procurement cards by municipalities. That follows strict accounting rules regulated by state statute. So that item on the agenda just means that they changed the bank that they're using for those procurement cards. And I mentioned the county tax rate. This year, as a percentage of your total property taxes paid, 51.6% of your property taxes will go toward the school district budget. 35.6% of your property taxes will go toward municipal services like police, garbage collection, leaf pickup, street cleaning, etc. And 12.8% will go to the county and open space. State Health Benefits Commission met on Wednesday, July 8th regarding renewal rates for plan year 2027, which included significant rate increases, again, for the 3rd year in a row. Participating local governments will see the following health increases in premiums for plan year 2027 if adopted. 17.3% for local active employees, 36.5% increase in rates over this year for early retirees, and 19.3% for Medicare retirees. This is driven by anti-selection and high-cost prescriptions. Anti-selection occurs when local governments are migrating out of the state health benefits plan to cheaper private market options or health insurance funds. Last year, I urged that we consider hiring a professional insurance consultant to help the borough identify the best strategy moving forward, rather than remaining trapped in this downward spiral. But we simply do not have the expertise within the borough staff to navigate the complex marketplace and find other opportunities to save our employees and taxpayers money on these plans. The other avenues suggested did not result in any cost-saving action, so I will be pursuing that request for the near future. On the consent calendar, I won't go into the tax collector report. Our new assistant treasurer, Maria, is up and running, and it's great to have her help in the finance office. And on the green team side, we're still waiting on the LGEA, the local government energy audit, which should be completed by the end of the month. I checked in with them this week. they're asking for additional info on propane that's used at the pool, so now I have to get those bills. But it's okay. And the rain garden has been installed. The Highlands Council reached out to me through our green team to see if we would be interested. I talked about that at a prior meeting. The purpose of the garden is to reduce stormwater runoff, downstream flooding, and improve water quality in the Speedwell Lake watershed. It is requiring commitment of volunteers to maintain, which we're lucky to have our beautification committee offering to help. And I'd like to thank the Highlands Council for connecting us with this DEP grant, and the DPW for help during and after construction, and our beautification volunteers. The estimated cost of the project would have been $35,000. Also spoke to the library. They have story time Saturdays at 10:30, usually outside, but in this weather it's been inside. They have a good attendance at those, like between 15 and 20 kids. They also have a summer reading program for kids up to age 10 where they can win raffle prizes for completing a certain number of books. And one of their new Library Association members was elected to be their new VP, Rachel Reiner, and she was able to acquire a grant for the library last December for a new boiler, and subsequently the boiler at the library died in January, so the money was just in time for that boiler to be replaced in full. It was 20 years old, so it didn't owe us anything. And she's also working at on a state grant to update their children's nonfiction collection, which is like a $2,000 to $4,000 grant. So great work over at the library. That's all there.
Okay. That rain garden really looks nice over there.
Yeah, it looks good too, but it's more
Needs
functional.
water.
I know,
Yeah,
I know.
it needs water over there. Unfortunately, right? Public safety, Tyler.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Great to see everyone tonight. I just want to piggyback and reiterate on what everyone was saying about how impressed I was with the response of the police department, the DPW, all public safety workers, residences. I was on countless texts and people checking in on each other. It was really neat to see the community come together. And I think, as Nancy was saying, we did our best to try to keep people up to date. I was in communication with the chief almost every day and trying to share things. I think the borough did a fantastic job of being able to give as many updates as they had, but also just want to thank people for their patience. Again, it wasn't perfect. I think there is some great things to, as I say, you never fail, you learn. And I don't think we did fail, but I think, we did a good job, but can do even better next time. And I'm excited to be able to take those steps and really, again, be even more prepared in the future. But again, I just wanted to say how great it was to see everyone come together, neighbors checking on neighbors, helping people out. I was away on Friday night, and Mike drove up to my house and couldn't even get there because there was trees down everywhere. So, but again, just what a great place to live, and I think it really reiterated that. Also, to kind of tag along on what Nancy said, with that being said, if you are not currently signed up for the rave alerts, you can go to the Morris Plains Police Department website or the Borough website. You can find a link on both of those to sign up for the rave alerts. Again, we had some requests for calls. Basically, all we need is your information. So if we have your name, your phone number, and your information, you can do that. So if you know someone that's having trouble signing up, I'm even personally willing to go to some of the senior living centers around here, sign people up myself, whatever it takes. But we definitely want to make sure that people are in the loop and getting the updates that they feel they need when they want them, especially when it involves their safety. Segal, the executive assistant to Chief Karaski in the police department, has officially retired. She was sent off with a small party. I had to miss it. I had an obligation, but I wanted to thank her very much for all her years of service to the borough and for training Gia to step into her shoes, whom I hear is doing an extraordinary job, so that's amazing. We are currently advertising for the position of a substitute crossing guard. If you or anyone you know is interested, please reach out to Chief Karaski, Lieutenant Kiel, to Lieutenant McKay. On July 1st, Chief Karaski met with Mark Cohen of PS&S to start, as they were saying, kind of some of the walkthroughs of the borough here, the borough building, the police department, to get a better idea of the scope of work and what is needed, and speaking with employees on what they feel will also make a difference in some of the renovations, and being able to really clarify and take the next steps just in the sense of the plans and what and how it will happen. August is a busy month for the police department. On August 4th, they will host their annual National Night Out along with other public safety people. It's always a fun time, lots going on. I know the fire department did a live burn last year, which was really neat as well. On August 18th at 11 a.m., the police department's having Kona with a cop. Please stop by the Kona truck, hang out with the police department, ask some questions, and get a free Kona. I might have had a couple last year. On August 19th, there will be a mobile DMV inspection van in the borough. Pursuant to the e-bike conversations that I'm sure will be happening shortly, this is a great time to be able to ask the actual DMV questions, concerns, because they will have the mobile registration truck in the borough on August 19th. The newest Ford Interceptor for the police department has been fully upfitted and is now in the official patrol as of June. We were having trouble with some repairs in some of the other PD cars, so the hope is this new car will eliminate the frequency of repairs, and it's looking and doing great so far. Jim Hunt, co-chair of this Complete and Green Streets Committee, and myself met with Mike and Nancy on their input on the CGS policy. We made some really good progress, had some questions answered, some language differences, but we made those edits, and as of tonight, I have circulated that to the council for everyone to look over. I look forward to continuing the discussion and potentially having something on the agenda for August. Jim and I and the committee, I just wanted to reiterate the public involvement that we had in the process for Complete and Green Streets. This was entirely community volunteers. That was, their input that ultimately put the plan together for Morris Plains based on the state policy. So I thought it was a very impressive, transparent, and great process in order to get everyone involved. And again, I would like to thank Mr. Hunt here for his expertise and patience in dealing with me and with everybody else. But I really look up to him. He's a very knowledgeable guy, and I really look forward to continuing to work with him on getting this into fruition. Fire Marshal Shea received his new fire prevention vehicle. It's currently being upfitted, and I'm not exactly sure of the timeline, but we should have that back somewhat soon. He's averaging about 12 apartment inspections each month and about a total of 100 inspections. The apartment inspections, the ordinance requires them to be inspected every 5 years. So with him doing about 12 a month, that puts him to, again, around 100 a year. So we should be on track to be able to inspect all the apartments within the 5-year time frame that we planned for. Chief Rongo, the fire chief and team were in Long Island to see the new mini pumper, which I am happy to say will be delivered within the next 2 weeks. I saw some photos. She looks pretty and shiny and ready to go, and I'm really excited for the department to have the new apparatus, which is going to help keep the borough and surrounding towns safer. And they are averaging just about over a call a day. The Business Support Committee met, Jason, Kelly, and myself. We did get to kind of work and solidify the goals and the mission statement and what we can do to continually support downtown Morris Plains, which has been just a fantastic addition to the town. And as you'll see tonight, there is an ordinance on second with the police department, and as explained last week, what that does is we have the need for a new supervisor, so that allows us to promote a 6th sergeant. And I believe that's it for myself. We have Lieutenant McKay here, if
Yeah, I got a couple
jump
things.
on anything.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So the first thing is Officer Ferris, just a reminder to the mayor and council. She has a Troy Morris Junior Police Academy graduation tomorrow at the Police Academy at 12. She does a phenomenal job running that program between herself, members from Morris Township and Morristown Police Department, but she really just spearheads this whole thing and does a really, really, really good job. And just the only other thing I just want to touch on was Kona the Cop. August 18th, we start at Wapnong Park, Simons Park, and finish at Community Park. Other than that, I have nothing further.
Good, thank you. There's 2 other people that I would love to recognize that were part of this storm. And one is Jeff Paul, the Morris County OEM coordinator, who, you pick up the phone any time of the day or night, and that guy answers your call. So we had a couple incidents here at some of the facilities where Jeff's input and the county's assistance really was needed, right? And again, it's a phone call. What do you need? And before you know it, the stuff is coming down from the hill. So, and the other person is Bob Flynn, is our JCP&L representative, again, who I don't even think he slept that week, but every call and every email that I received with a question was fielded by Bob. And again, never a hesitation, always gave us the best answer that he could. Wasn't always the one that we wanted to hear, or a resident wanted to hear, but at least you could plan whatever it was, whether it was gonna be 2 hours or 2 days. So hats off to Bob and his really, I'll say dedication to Morris Plains. I know he works for many municipalities, but you wouldn't know it by his response. So really thanks to both of them too again. Public Works, Mr. Bruhn.
Not to belabor it, but I want to thank everybody also. They really did a great job. Our police department, volunteer fire department, which I rode around Friday night with them just to see what was going on, if I could help. Our DPW, mayor, council, everybody chipped in, the county, and like Bob said, he is awesome. So everybody did a great job. And I don't want to continue with it. I just want to recognize them. Our DPW, just to touch on the storm, July 3rd, a lot of them called in who were available. They've been cleaning up ever since. They have been working, as the mayor mentioned, 7 days a week. They're doing 5 days of 1 hour overtime Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday. They have now 3 chippers. We own 1. The mayor was able to connect with Morris County Parks Department. We were able to get one of theirs, borrow theirs. We rented one from Sussex County, so we're actively using 3 throughout the town, which is helping speed along clearing the roadways, sidewalks, and our parks. In addition to that, they've worked on our police vehicles, picked up the garbage in the parks, continue to cut grass throughout the properties. There's some curb repair that they're working on, repaired a sewer leak at 95 Maple Avenue, and then fireworks, which I love. They go there and they clean up before and after to make the town look like it never happened, and those fireworks were amazing. Good time. Beautification, as Nancy mentioned about the stormwater park over there, they also are continuing weeding. I think the weeds grow better than anything in the summer months, so they're weeding and watering, so they're continuing with their efforts, and we appreciate that. That's all I have.
Again, just one more thing, just before I get to Bill, but there has been questions about Jersey Central and cleanup of their debris. We're again being told by the end of next week, all their debris, wires, phone poles, cracked poles, whatever they left behind should all be picked up by the end of next week. So, Mr. Ryden.
Excuse me, thank you, Mayor. Update, as always, on road projects. The Stiles Avenue project is underway, as you all probably know. That's proceeding well. They're working on the setup phase of the job. That's where they do the sidewalks, the curbs, the handicap ramps, the stormwater inlets, and those kind of things. They're about 75% done with that. That should wrap up in a week or a week and a half, and then they'll move into the milling and paving. So, we're pleased with the work. The contractor's doing a nice job, and that's what's happening there. On our 2026 capital project for the 6 roads, that's contractor D&L Paving is going to be starting actually tomorrow. They'll be starting with the setup work again. My understanding is it's on Kosakowski Drive. We also have a project on the books for Northview Drive. This was a 2025 municipal aid grant, and it was put off for a year because we had backup on some of our projects. So it's coming due, and all of the municipal aid 2025 grants have to have a contract awarded by November 1st of this year. So we're gonna be looking to go out to bid in September to get that underway and make that deadline, but prior to that September bid, we need to get an ordinance in place for the funding, and Rosemary, I believe, is working on that for introduction at the August. So that's the status of that. And the last is
that work will not be done until 2027.
That's correct, but we have to award the
Yeah,
contract
right.
to preserve our funds.
You just don't want people expecting the machine to do this here.
No. And then lastly, the community park trail, which has been a long process here. Mr. Welsh submitted the grant application for the construction work. That's gone through the technical review. We received a few comments back, and I'll be having a virtual conference with Mr. Klingener of the Morris County Park Commission to go over those things, and hopefully that'll be the end of it, and we'll be able to go out to bid. And that's all I have.
Just, do you have an update on the other water department roads?
No, I don't. I don't, but I will make a note to do that.
Please, thank you.
So Bill, I'm sorry, was the county grant for the trail approved and you're just negotiating now, or are we still waiting for approval?
Well, I think once we finish with this technical meeting and those technical questions they have, then I think that the application will be approved.
Oh, okay.
But right now, no.
It's not approved yet. Okay, thank you.
I don't see any reason that it won't.
Are there dollar amounts on the next phase yet, or are you still working?
Yeah, I'm still
Okay.
getting across on that.
All right.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Anybody have anything from public buildings and grounds? Not moving forward to public health sanitary and sewage.
I do have a little bit for buildings and grounds, I just couldn't jump fast enough.
Oh, okay.
I do have an update for downtown Morris Plains, but Portia's here, so she'll probably mention a little bit later. On Wednesday, July 15th, downtown Morris Plains hosted a business networking night with around 60 attendees representing both local Morris Plains business owners and operators, as well as other stakeholders and businesses who serve our area and business community. Thank you to council members and mayor who were able to attend. Our next business roundtable event is tentatively scheduled for November 11th, and we'll share more details as the event approaches. DMP has partnered again this year with the Morris Plains Farmers Market Committee to bring back the popular local business showcase, which gives local businesses the opportunity to participate in the market. You can find more information about this program and how to apply on the Boro website. The Transitional Arts Program is underway. DMP partnered with New Jersey Transit and the New Jersey Council on the Arts to bring this program and a $30,000 grant to Morris Plains to help celebrate the Boro Centennial. This month, a jury of diverse stakeholders met to evaluate submissions and select 3 local artists to begin work on murals and photographs to be installed on and around the New Jersey Transit Morris Plains train station property. DMP will share updates about this installation and unveiling this fall. This August, DMP is launching a special promotion to celebrate Morris Plains restaurants. The Morris Plains Centennial Circuit will reward patrons for dining at 10+ local restaurants in the month of August with a limited edition Centennial Prize. Follow DMP on social media for details, and information will be available on the website starting June 20th. DMP is actively planning for the 2026 Centennial Pumpkin Illumination. This fun fall festival features exclusively local Morris Plains vendors and a welcoming and fun seasonal atmosphere to help increase visibility and awareness for our fantastic community of Morris Plains businesses. DMP is already working with a team of volunteers to enhance the experience and are excited to have commitments from new local sponsors to support this centennial event. High props. Save the date, October 30th for the celebration. Looking ahead, DMP plans to partner with a local vendor to create a visitor's map of Morris Plains and print and digital formats that clearly identifies parking information for local businesses. We'll share more updates at a future council meeting when more information is available. I think that's the longest report I've ever done. It wasn't even mine. All right.
Is she gonna talk now or no?
Do you want to?
I can share those with you.
Transition's better, so please.
I don't have any additions, I actually came so I could read that for you, but thank you.
Just name and address, please, that's all. Just for the record, that's all.
Portia Lavasser,
There you go.
17 Diana Road. Hi, everyone. This is the interactive portion of the evening where you get a little bit of information about our upcoming restaurant promotion. Thank you for sharing all those updates, and Tyler, we're really looking forward to hearing more about the goals and scope of the business support committee when you guys have those ready for us, so thank you.
Yes, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there last night as the liaison.
That's okay. Listen, it was a fantastic event. Thank you, Mayor and Council Members Houston and Verga for attending. We had over 50 attendees. It was great.
Under buildings and grounds, before we jump in there also was the senior picnic today, which the mayor and I were attending, and it was very well attended by the seniors. They had a great turnout, and they had the Seussical kids from the summer theater program do a little preview of their show that's coming up, and it's great as always with one of our former, actually Morris Plains resident is the director of the program again this year. So it's a great program. You lot to watch the show.
Who was in the program originally?
Yes, she was. Sarah was in that actual show.
Yep.
She was the, yeah.
Come full circle then.
Yep. It's great.
All right, on to my committee. So Teen Center, they met this evening and they just wrapped up. They discussed and finalized the event calendar for 2026 and coordinated that with the school calendar, 26-27 year. And then Board of Health, they worked on continuing to plan for Wellness Day, which would be in October. And then I also have an update from them for Cyclospora. So I wanted to provide a brief update on that. And it's an intestinal disease that is seeing increased activity nationwide during the summer months. Cyclospora is a microscopic parasite that is most commonly spread through contaminated food, particularly fresh produce. It is not spread from person to person. Symptoms can include loss of appetite, nausea, fatigue, abdominal pain, and most notably, what you probably heard, prolonged watery diarrhea, which can lead to dehydration. Children, older adults, and individuals with weakened immune systems are at the highest risk for complications. The good news is that it can be diagnosed with a stool test, and when appropriate, it can be treated with antibiotics to help shorten the duration of symptoms. According to the New Jersey Department of Health, approximately 80 cases have been reported statewide this far. We're not getting county by county cases yet, so we don't know exactly where those are located. They do see a rise in usually between May and August, and residents can reduce their risk by thoroughly washing produce, choosing fruits and vegetables with peels or rinds that are removed before eating, and cooking produce when appropriate. Current investigations suggest that some illnesses may be linked to contaminated bagged lettuce, so residents may use extra caution with those products. Anyone experiencing the symptoms should contact their doctor, and we'll continue to share information from the New Jersey Department of Health as it becomes available. Also, air quality. Everybody obviously sees that because of the Canadian wildfires, we have really poor air quality today. It looks to be getting better tomorrow, still in an unhealthy range, but getting better over the weekend. We never know how the jet stream is going to change, so if any residents who are sensitive to poor air quality should consider limiting their prolonged outdoor activity and keeping windows closed and using air conditioning if you have it. The New Jersey DEP, or Department of Environmental Protection, which is also the DEP, would be the best place to get updates for that. There was no meeting this month for Municipal Alliance, and that's it for me.
Do you want to report on the, just calling the county health department on that resident, what they're doing or not?
Speak up, please.
I don't have a good update on that just because it wasn't a meeting, the minutes didn't have
Okay,
this much
all
detail.
right, good enough. Ordinances and public utilities, Mr. Houston.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right. So for June 2026, the construction office processed 49 new permits, generating $16,176 in total fees. Those 49 permits break down as 2 additions and 47 alterations. The heaviest permit volume were in plumbing with 27, electrical 25, and building with 14. They also processed 33 certificates. One was a CO, certificate of occupancy, and 32 were certificates of approval. Their office also fielded 18 OPA requests in June, totaling 12 staff hours. They also, plus a subpoena response in May that took 8 hours. On to utilities. So as was mentioned multiple times tonight, utility recovery from the July 3rd and 4th storm is substantially complete. I'm speaking about specifically with Verizon and Optimum. Those were the utilities that I was overseeing during the storm. We were able to get both the community center, which is Optimum, and the community pool, which is Verizon, back online over the weekend. Specifically with Verizon, I stayed late on the phone with the Verizon rep. She had me on, I think 3 or 4. She was juggling 3 or 4 different cell phones to make sure that I got to somebody so that we could schedule a tech to get to the pool first thing on Saturday morning, hopefully before the swim meet. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but the tech was able to get there Saturday night and then restore Wi-Fi and phone service. So that, kudos to Verizon working with me to get that done. In total, I received personally 19 reports from Verizon. We were able to resolve 15 of those. From Optimum, I received 21 total reports, and we were able to resolve 11 of those. 10 are still open, so we're still in ongoing dialogue with both Optimum and Verizon to try to resolve some of these issues that the residents are having. There was an area-wide outage from Optimum that they resolved on July 8th, and now they're kind of going resident to resident to resolve the individual cases. Let's see. Moving on to the application process update. So this land use application package, which includes the site plan, subdivision variance, and the flow chart are still in review. The June 15th planning board meeting, the board discussed several refinements, including clarifying attendance expectations for applicants, and adding a revision date and timeline to the flow chart. So I did ask for and receive final feedback by July 8th. I did get some from the zoning board of adjustment, so I'm going to finalize all that, and then hopefully we'll get this done and move it forward to an ordinance so we can get this going. Planning board met on June 15th, as I mentioned. They continued its review of the land use application process. No applications were before the board that evening. The board's next regular meeting is July 20th, where the agenda that we just got includes continued review of this application process, and there's also a building demolition application at 185 Tabor Road, which is going to be before the planning board on Monday. As far as ordinance review, so you see there's 3 ordinances on second reading tonight. Ordinance 7-2026, the bond ordinance, sewer jet and catch basin cleaner. Again, as a reminder, this authorizes the DPW to acquire 1 sewer jet and catch basin cleaner vehicle. Total appropriation of $471,000, $166,000 down payment already available from prior capital budget provisions, plus $305,000 in bonds or bond anticipation notes under the local bond law. Useful life is about 10 years on that. Ordinance number 8-2026, which amends chapter 18-2, Police Department Sergeants, which Mr. Pontier already talked about. It will increase the authorized number of police sergeants from 5 to 6, and that is that one. Well, and then finally, ordinance number 9-2026, which amends chapter 22A, otherwise known as e-bikes and e-scooters. This establishes a local regulatory framework for e-bikes and e-scooters in Morris Plains, building on New Jersey's new statewide e-bike law, effective 3 days from now, July 19, 2026. It addresses areas that the state law left to municipalities, where and how e-bikes and e-scooters may be operated, age and equipment expectations, and enforcement mechanisms. This was developed with input from the police department, fire marshal, traffic committee, and the first reading was on June 18th, and then tonight's vote for all 3 of these just for final adoption. Just one note, just to the members of the public who, I know some of you are here to perhaps ask questions about it. During the second reading, the mayor is going to announce that the meeting is open for public hearing. You're welcome to come up during the open session that we'll have immediately following this and ask you questions, or you can come up during that portion of it. Either one is fine. Just to let you know, if you don't come up during the public session, you can come up during the second reading session when the mayor opens it for public hearing. So just a procedural note there.
So just,
Yes,
if you
sir.
have a question on the ordinance, let that be done during the ordinance section of the public hearing, not prior.
There we go. Okay. And that is all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to public invitation for public comment. Anybody?
Good evening, everybody. Lee Connor, 2 Tower Hill Road. I am reading a statement on behalf of Plan Better Morris Plains and all resident, all volunteer advocacy group for smart and sustainable planning. And I wanted to talk about the status of the proposed 2-lane drive-through McDonald's at 435 Speedwell Ave. And the purpose of this statement is to request transparency and timely public communication regarding the status of this project, which is of great public interest and concern. Based on publicly available information, the project remains with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for review. When the project was approved by our Morris Plains Planning Board, the resolution in January 20th, 2025 had a number of conditions. One of them was applicant to obtain all necessary state, county, and local approvals, including a major access permit from the NJDOT in conformance with the plans submitted and approved as part of this application. Meaning that any change to the project that may be required by the DOT triggers the need for the planning board to review it. If it's a major or material amendment, it must be reviewed at public hearings. What is a material alteration? That could be changes to access, traffic circulation, ingress, egress, other site design affecting traffic or safety operations, and therefore should be subject to public review. So accordingly, Plan Better Morris Plains is requesting that the borough, one, notify the public if revised plans are submitted or received. Two, clarify whether any proposed changes are considered administrative or material. And three, return any material amendments to the planning board for public review and hearing. Because the project remains of significant public interest, we appreciate the borough's commitment to transparency, and we look forward to updates on the status of the application and any proposed changes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lee, sorry, real quick, your second bullet point there, could you just read that again?
So the first was notify, the second was clarify, or were there any proposed changes are considered administrative or material.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna email a copy of this to each of you separately.
Send it right to the, right,
And certainly give.
no, send it right to the clerk and then she can, with that one, she can distribute everything to
Perfect.
everybody tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
Thanks, Lee.
Goodies for you. Good evening. Cecere, 11 Dayton Road. I just want to reiterate and thank everybody, the police department, fire department, DPW, and all the town officials that worked tirelessly to get the Morris Plains back up and running after the storm. And the consistent communication with the residents was reassuring and made people feel that they had not been forgotten. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about the ongoing fence issue that I've been speaking about at these meetings for the past 2 years. In fact, the storm brought down yet another fence panel, bringing the total to 4 completely collapsed panels. And given the condition of what was remaining, it was only a matter of time before the rest are gonna follow. But lo and behold today, earlier this morning, 2 men showed up at the property and began removing additional fence panels. I went outside to introduce myself and ask what their plans were. During the conversation, one of the workers told me that they had been instructed to take the fence down, and there was no mention of replacing it. I asked who gave those instructions, was it the town or the property owner? And he told me, Mr. Salerno, and then he added, Jason, the mayor. He's the one that said, take it down. Then he asked a question which was extremely eye-opening to me. He said kind of confusingly, there's a meeting tonight? I replied, yes, there was, and I told him that I would speak with the mayor directly to make sure that the fence would actually be replaced. And I thanked him and I went back inside. That brief conversation spoke volumes to me. This led me to the conclusion that these men showing up on the same day as a council meeting was not a coincidence. It was simply to make it appear that something was being done to address the fence. Possibly so I would remain quiet tonight at this meeting, but I can assure you that was never going to be happening. One might ask, why were these men contacted by the town rather than the property owner? One would think that the proper chain of command would be that the town reaches out to the property owner, and the property owner reaches out to whoever he wants to hire to address the situation. So I'm a little bit confused about that. Seems quite similar to the situation about a year and a half ago, when several people, including myself, repeatedly complained about all the dog poop bags and other garbage that was on this property. And then it got cleaned up, and we found out that it was the DPW that cleaned it up. So I'm not sure who the fence removal people were, and I just want to point out that they did take down a total of 4 panels today, which remain lying on the property with the other fallen panels. And then they left 3 remaining panels at the far corner of our property, and those are standing. And I'm not sure what that's all about, but I'm not gonna waste my time pondering and trying to figure out a rationale for that. So basically, my entire backyard is exposed for anyone to walk into. I'm an extremely patient person, and I think excuse me if I'm repeating a lot of things that I've said month after month. But I'm an extremely patient person, and sometimes to a fault. And in this situation, I think that it absolutely has been to a fault. But my patience has now run out. After 2 years, it is unmistakably clear to anyone who has listened to my comments that our property maintenance ordinances are being treated more like suggestions than actual requirements by the people hired to enforce them. While this fence may seem like a small issue in the grand scheme of things, it raises a much larger concern for me and probably others. If our ordinances are not being enforced on something as visible and straightforward as this, it makes me wonder what level of enforcement or lack of enforcement is occurring on much larger projects in town. Tonight, I brought with you a sample of what I've been dealing with for the past 2 years. This is only a small portion of the garbage that I have personally picked up from my yard, mostly my backyard, over the past few months while doing yard work or simply trying to enjoy my property. To say that my right to the peaceful use and enjoyment of my property has been repeatedly ignored would be an understatement. Over the last 2 years, I've been told time and time again that this fence would be repaired. Never happened. Crickets. To my knowledge, no citations have been issued and no meaningful enforcement has taken place. That leaves me wondering what the portion of my property taxes that funds code enforcement is actually paying for. Maybe Ms. Verga can find, I heard you talking about portions of property taxes. Because maybe I should start treating my property taxes as optional. Or perhaps just deduct the portion that pays for enforcement services that I'm not receiving. That seems about as reasonable as expecting the town to enforce its own ordinances. I also want to make it clear that these comments are not directed to the members of this council. I understand that your authority to resolve this matter is limited, and I sincerely appreciate any and all efforts that have been made to try and help rectify this ongoing saga. Moving forward, I do not intend to continue making this just another monthly complaint at council meetings. Many people have approached me and encouraged me to pursue other avenues, including contacting the news media. At this point, I am seriously considering that option. If I do, I intend to bring attention not only to the condition of this property, but also to the broader pattern of non-enforcement or selective enforcement going on and the undeniable level of accommodations that this property owner has received from certain town officials over the past couple of years. And felt very insulted that you sat there and said that you didn't even know if they need a fence, because the whole issue is a fence. For 2 years we've been discussing the fence. And I would think you would have at least researched it, because I sure did, and I knew that there needs to be a fence.
Yeah,
And why did you tell them to remove the fence?
So I never spoke to those people, okay? That the fence repaired, apparently they were working for the property owner who Mr. Salerno was talking with and emailing back and forth with his property, maintenance person, I guess. I don't even know if those were the folks that
I've
were there
never seen
today.
these two men before in my life.
Yeah, so that's
They were very
That's
pleasant
who
and I was
Mr.
pleasant to
Salerno's
them.
been dealing with, trying to get the fence repaired, replaced, whatever the case may be. I guess the property owner took it upon himself to take the fence down. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting that he mentioned you by name and said that he
I've been
questioned me
involved-
about a
I've
meeting
been involved
tonight.
with the whole thing the whole time, Jill, so maybe he did mention my name, I don't know, but Mr. Salerno has been working with these, I think the guy's name is Hector,
I don't know.
trying to get the property owner's maintenance person to come over there and do work on that fence. And no, I did not look at the ordinance and see whether they need a fence to be replaced, because I did not know that they were gonna take down the fence.
Regardless of taking it down or not taking it down, there's been, unless, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's been no citations given. I brought this up last month.
You're right.
I brought it up month after month after month, but what does it take to get somebody to give that property owner some sort of violation?
I believe that's in the discretion of the zoning official, right? So that's who we have to.
And who's
I'm
the
gonna
boss
work
of,
with Mr.
who is the
Houston
boss
to
of the
see-
zoning officer?
Ultimately, everything falls on my shoulders, Jill.
Right,
Right.
2 years. It's a
I'm not
fence.
arguing with you, I agree
I
that.
could have built the fence by myself if I started then.
I agree with you. I'm not arguing with you.
Mr. Houston asked that you
And I did.
assure that we're gonna, he
He
will
asked
get
for my
by.
commitment, which
It's a
I-
drop in the bucket, but it's something on record,
Yes,
besides my
absolutely.
rants every month. But it's very fishy to me that the other large complaint about the maintenance and the debris and the garbage, a year and a half, 2 years ago when this all began, got fixed by our DPW rather than the property owner.
I think the DPW replaced the garbage bags over the garbage cans that day when the fences were up there.
This was long before the fence, this was just one of the garbage
Yeah, it was,
complaints.
and then the garbage cans had the bags over them, and they were overflowing and spilling
And
out.
the
Maybe
DPW
they
shouldn't
did
be
that.
doing that. My tax dollars shouldn't have the DPW cleaning up a multi-million-dollar property owner's property. None of our taxes should be having our DPW, they have much more important things to be doing than cleaning up some deadbeat property owner that doesn't give a crap about this town. And here, you can, I'll leave this for you, because that's what I picked up.
Anybody else?
Hi, Craig Moran, 7 Hillview Avenue. Just wanted to bring up a concern regarding the traffic safety on Speedwell Avenue and the stretch between Hillview and Rosedale. As a newish dog owner, I find myself walking the sidewalks a lot more than I used to. And one of our favorite routes takes us across Speedwell. About a month ago, within the stretch of about 7 days, 4 times as we're trying to cross the street, cars have stopped. I've made my way into the intersection, and cars have come around the stopped car, twice coming within about 5 feet of hitting me and my dog. I've been here almost 18 years, and it's not the only time that this has happened. However, the frequency seems to have increased more and more lately. Is there anything that can be done? Like, that stretch is just one lane each way, correct?
Technically, yes.
Technically. So if a car stops, no one should be swerving around, especially around the left of a car.
Correct.
Is there anything that can be done to,
I'm sure that you can make a complaint if you get a license plate. I mean, the police have patrolled that area. They, along with numerous other crosswalks in the area. There's a DOT crossing light that's scheduled to be put in there, 2 of them along that stretch. We've done crosswalk work, but it's a matter of enforcement, you know, and being there at the right time when they see something. So they do implement, the chief does do these roving crosswalk safety details, I'll say, right?
Yeah, I believe we have at least 2 scheduled, we just sent two of our traffic officers, Sergeant Hoffman and Officer Shaw, to that class, so we can add more people to that. But yeah, write down notes now, I'll talk to our traffic sergeant tomorrow, and we'll go on.
I mean, to ask for someone to take down a license plate number in that instance.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, that's an
Well,
option, because then you can make a complaint, right? You come here and make a complaint. That's just an option. I'm not saying that you can or anybody will or whatever, but that's just one of the options, right? Besides enforcement, that's just another option.
Well, I just wanted to, and then,
Mr. Mayor, you mentioned the DOT is scheduled to do crosswalk light improvements. Do you have any other information?
I don't have an update. The chief's been working with the DOT on those updates. I don't know when that last update was that he received from them.
Okay.
But I don't have one like as of the time the chief left and made the last report.
It's every case, it's all right, I'll reach out to the chief and just see if I can get more information on that, because it's a public safety issue. This month here, I think we need to look at this, because it's been going on for a while, right? Residents have been complaining about that. I know that the flags there don't really do any good. I get that it's a state road, but you know, it's obviously it's a public safety issue. So I think, you know, I'll work on that with you, but I think we need to move this along. I know they're slow, but we got to do something.
I would just prefer you could talk to the chief and let the chief
Of course.
make point of contact for that.
Of course.
I'll bring you in on it. I mean, it's been at least a couple weeks since we've had an email from Siobhan. I've been a part of them. I mean, it's a very slow-moving machine, unfortunately, as you know, but we are pushing. I mean, both the chief and I have no problem continuing to pressure them. We're hoping ASAP, because we have multiple things we really need to do with them, from the signs to the lights to, you know, we're basically waiting on them, which is very frustrating.
And I know this is not on you or anybody here, because it's a state road, but we'll see how quickly they move when somebody gets seriously injured out there.
Yeah, and I mean, I worked at, you know, that corner of Rosedale for 7 years, and I would walk across the street to get, you know, pizza at Annabella's. I've probably been almost hit 9 times.
Yeah.
So Craig, I'm with you, it's horrible. I mean,
We gotta do something.
yeah, it's very
I
bad.
think the other issue is what you brought up, Craig, about the fact that, is it a 1-lane road or isn't it? Because it appears to be wide enough for someone to pass without going over the center line, and that is a problem. So how can we, and this may be something for the traffic committee also to discuss with DOT, and I know people aren't gonna want to see the traffic back up anymore, but how can we prevent people from thinking that that's 2 lanes there and they can just pass another car?
Well, they see it coming up to the light where it turns into 2 lanes, so they wrongly
Well,
assume
there are
that it
things you
already
can do
is.
to
Right,
alleviate that.
right, well, that's
You
what I
can narrow
mean.
the road, and
Yeah.
maybe we need to do that and look into that, because
Agreed.
we need to put people's safety before someone's expedient access through our town.
Yeah.
The shoulder, I mean, it's like.
Yeah, shoulder or bike lane.
Yeah, it's like, you know, under the bridge, technically, that's 1 lane there, right? You can try to scoot by on the right side of the, you know, coming underneath the
They
bridge.
succeeded
But
further
again-
down on Speedwell by Speedwell Lake. That was 2 lanes, they narrowed it into 1,
Mhm.
and it's safer. I mean, I know it's still, biking down there is still treacherous, but I can say that just not allowing those 2 cars side by side and 2 cars the other way, yeah, it's just, we have to just put our foot down at some point and say, it's a state highway, but this is our town. We can't have, in the middle of our downtown, people getting, you know, in a crosswalk.
I mean, Tyler, maybe it's worth asking the chief to see, or maybe Lieutenant McKay knows, but what did Morristown do, right, or Morris Township do, right, to petition the state to do that, because that's
Correct.
still a state
Yeah.
road, right, so whatever they did, right, was effective, so we should be able to do the same.
It's true, I never thought about like
Yeah.
that in that sense, because
Sure.
they did do it, it's just, right. Something worked when
Yeah.
they did it, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we need to do something.
Connecting green streets.
yeah, well, that's a start. I mean, we're almost there.
Nancy,
that's what they-
a couple of
Yeah,
weeks ago,
yeah,
Chief
well,
said
it is, yeah.
traffic would be backed up to Route 10 if they didn't kind of allow the double lane. I don't know where that double lane should start or shouldn't start, and I agree, I've crossed that many a time when I lived on Mount Way, but I just had a thought, like, you know, traffic, people complain about traffic a little bit, I think the chief said, to have it
And
allowed.
people shouldn't drive through our town, should go somewhere else.
Well, like Mike said, I
Like
think
to
actually
go
part of that was
rushing.
Green Streets that got that through, so.
Right, that's a good
Why
point.
I was pushing that.
State's adoption.
Yeah, so.
And Art, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, I'm just,
No.
he mentioned it could be up to Route 10, you know. like,
Yeah, no, I
single
get it.
file.
I just think that, you know, I'm okay with residents, or not residents, but I'm okay with people honking their horns if it means residents are gonna be safe. People are gonna be safe across the road.
Safety first,
I'm not
yeah.
saying you're not, I'm just saying that I get traffic's an issue,
Yeah.
so.
Work on that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Put that on our list for just, next week.
Joanne Dugan, 31 Canfield. Just again, with the crosswalk situation, it seems like you were saying they're supposed to install all those lights at the crosswalks. Seems to me none of that is gonna be done until this DOT makes the determination
So
about the McDonald's.
I think that affects one crosswalk, but not both of them. So we have two that are coming one for each crosswalk.
So one will be
there.
safe and one won't be.
No, I think one could go in, is what I'm saying, now,
Right.
right? And if they adjust the sidewalk or crosswalk later or not, or whatever, that one can go in, but at least give us the one for now.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing, but it's not a good situation because then, you know, people are gonna not walk down to the other one. Kids aren't gonna do that, you know. Kids coming from Boro or whatever, they're not gonna walk down to the one that has a light on it. It's just, you know, just my opinion.
No, agreed, yeah, I think I mean, they're separate enough that
Yeah.
the honest truth is, yes, we'll get that one before we
Right.
get the one
No,
at
I
the
get that.
McDonald's, cause that's tied up with whatever's going on there with the DOT and
Yeah.
that property owner. But they are separate, so we are being told that it will be done versus not getting an update on the other one.
Okay.
So, I'm with you, it's not both, but it's a start, and at least if we have that, then we can fight to get the second one. But my kids walk across that to go to Dunkin' Donuts after
Right.
school, and it scares the crap out of me, they could be hurt, so
Yeah, I mean,
it's top
We will certainly
priority.
try to push, this is,
Yeah.
we started probably 3 years ago.
oh, I know.
It's just, whatever, it is what it is, so.
But thank you, I mean, again, and the more we bring it up to them, the more pressure we can
Yeah.
put on them, so.
Right.
Everybody, Tom Battagliese, Battagliese, 2 Cutler Road. I just wanted to, give Jill a bit of backup because it's just super disheartening that we've been sitting here meeting after meeting, tax dollars after tax dollars, talking about the same seemingly visible and totally simple thing of taking down a fence that's falling apart and putting up a new one, or whatever the code is. A couple months ago, I made a statement about the McMound, and it dealt with basically the same kind of issues with systemic compliance and enforcement issues. And I'm just wondering, it still seems to be going on. And I totally agree with Jill, and I think I said something similar that, with these visible issues, whether it's the mound or the fence, these are very visible, simple issues. So if these don't have enforcement, I'm willing to bet a part of my salary that there's other much more serious issues around enforcement that are, not obvious to the layman. I'm just wondering, based on the statement I gave a couple months ago, has there been any consideration by you, Mr. Mayor, in terms of what we can do with as Morris Plains about enforcement? I suggested it. I gave a few suggestions, including forming some kind of small working group to discuss options. But it seems, and you just admitted that you're ultimately responsible for the zoning officer, right? I mean, I'll just be straight up. I mean, I've been working in environment space for many years, and I've never seen such simple compliance issues go on and on. I mean, I'd be fired if this were me. Just being straight up, right? So what can we do about the zoning officer? What should we do? Have you had any discussion or?
Have a sit-down conversation with him.
Okay, but what about fines? Why aren't fines issued for, all these non-compliances if the developer, and I completely support what Jill said, it seems like that the developers and the commercial folks in town with the money are taking precedent, the interests of them are being taken precedent over the residents, which is obviously not what we wanna see.
Yeah, me either, I don't wanna see that either, and that isn't, but I will have my commitment again to work with Bill, and I'm resolved for this.
Yeah, Tom, I think to your point, I'm as equally frustrated, and that's why I made the statement I did earlier, because, something more needs to be done, right? And we have the ability to do so, to ensure that, these ordinances are being followed and that these, if fines are justified for being issued, that they do get issued. It's one of the challenges of being volunteer is that it's, kind of falls on us to do it in amongst our full-time jobs as well. But, it's a commitment we all made when we ran for council. And I'd like to think that that's part of the reason you all elected us is because we're here, we're supposed to represent you and we're supposed to be doing the hard work. Myself and I know a number of other council members and even the mayor now has committed to it that, we're gonna do that to the best of our ability. So it's a start. It's not, issuing fines to a large company, who knows where that'll go, but at least it's something, right? It's code enforcement. So I agree with you, and as I said before, I'm doing what I can to make sure that happens. And we'll continue to see how this goes, but I'll just put it bluntly, I'm kind of done with waiting around. So it's about time we do something.
Yeah, and I appreciate all, everybody's time here. I do different things with the green team and some other aspects in town as well, and it takes a lot as volunteers, so definitely appreciate that. But the zoning officer is paid, right?
Correct.
So, maybe something needs to be seriously looked at there, because he should be out there doing, you shouldn't have to be breathing down his neck, so I don't know what's going on, but clearly there's, some serious gaps. Okay, well, thanks for taking a look at that further, and just one other issue, that the tennis courts look great from a distance, but I just want you to know, because you probably want to get in touch with the contractor that resurfaced them, because I think you got ripped off, that there's some dead zones, like bubbles in the surfacing, and it's already cracking in different places. So, I'm sure there's some kind of warranty.
When was that? Heat?
I was over there a few weeks ago. I've been out of commission with Lyme disease the past few weeks.
Did
but
you take any pictures? Well, that's the first we're hearing of it, or at least I am.
Yeah, no, I didn't, but I can. It was.
I'll swing over there tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, either that or just let Mike know where they were, and
Okay.
so we can keep an eye on it.
Yeah, Mike, I don't know, are you tennis players if you?
No, but
Okay. I'm just asking because you may not notice it, you know what I mean? Like, I was over there with a couple of friends and my son, and, it was pretty obvious when the ball would land in a certain spot, it was, you got these like dead, like it's bubbling up. It's not totally obvious, but when the ball hits it, it's very obvious.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
So.
That was Sal's baby, I'll let him know, he might go over
I know there was
himself
some
and,
kind of
yeah,
problem with the
yeah.
contractors, I don't know what
Mike was
happened.
involved over there.
Yeah.
There is water issues over there as well, and so I don't know whether that has a part to play in it, but
Yeah.
we'll take a look at it. Thanks for letting us know, because I didn't.
Yeah, okay,
Thank you,
no,
Tom.
thanks,
Yeah.
just wanted to make you aware, 'cause-
Yeah, very good.
Okay,
Bill,
thanks
for coming
everybody.
out again.
Let me know.
Professionals.
Let me know.
Sorry, I didn't dress like I was coming up here. I came up to
It's the summer. you're
So,
good.
yeah, okay, thanks, but, all right, so Pam Dise-Moran, 7 Hillview. And, I didn't plan on speaking tonight, and unlike my husband who gets up here, I'm like, oh, he's gonna talk, and he comes all poised. I'm a teacher, I love speaking in front of kids, but I get all jittery speaking in front of adults. So I usually write things down, so I apologize ahead of time if I'm all over the place. But, and first of all, I wanna say, like, this is it's an emotional thing for me too. I'm angry. And I dedicated my life to this town. My whole life is one block, Boro School at my house that borders on the edge of Bretzel's classroom and Whitewood, you know, so in terms of my career, my dedication to the kids of this town, becoming an ESL teacher and being very passionate about the multilingual families here. I volunteered for years to put together the FAST events and Friendsgiving, and I get a little stipend now, and I'm grateful to my union for doing that for me. I'm also the grievance chair for the union because it's taught me, because I'm a talker, but it's taught me sometimes less is more. So there's a lot of things I'd like to say right now that I probably wouldn't want to see on the record or recorded later. So I'm gonna try to hold back, but I'm really mad because it's been like 2-3 years, all these things are happening. And like when I go to a union meeting with someone who's worked really hard, but then there's something that happened, we have a corrective action plan. And we work together and we follow procedure, and I represent that person so that they can keep their job and we fix things and that everything happens and we have documented steps. So when I hear about these ordinances that are not getting enforced, and it's like, and I'm gonna say this because I think a lot of people besides me are thinking, I hear things all over the place. I talk to parents, I talk to students. Even the students in grades 3 through 8 are like, why are they gonna put McDonald's there? It's so much traffic. And I'm like, these are kids that are walking on the street. So anyway, I'm obviously biased. I live at 7 Hillview. Everybody knows my name is on that case. If you didn't know, then you know now. So I'm definitely not for the McDonald's. But the fact that there's not documented steps and that everybody's just pushing it off, and it seems like there's backdoor deals going on. I feel like who's getting bribed? I mean, like, I say that out loud because it's the impression that I get, and that I never want to think like that. I'm a by the book person. Like, I used to teach high school, and I'd be like, what did they do in the bathroom? Oh my goodness, because I got straight A's. Like, you know, I mean, I could not fathom misbehavior. Like, I was a straight A student. I always do things by the book, and it's just sad to me that in the past few years, like, I've had my eyes opened to things that seem like corruption for people that I've trusted for years, and I feel betrayed. So I just want to say that, like, just based on my experience, I want to see those documented steps. I want to see things actually being happen, because if we don't do anything to that landowner, and it's just hearsay, and everybody else here, like Jill has a new, like, might as well have a law degree for the amount of work that she's done in the past few years. Like, it should be documented, and it should be that, well, okay, this is now this many citations and following the law and everything, and this is why I could never be on council, because I just want to say what I want to say. So I'm not being restrained here, but I just, yeah, and it's better when I take notes. But that's about it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing nobody else, we move on to introductions of ordinances, which we have none, but we do have ordinances on adoption.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, Councilmember Houston, read by title the ordinance entitled Ordinance Number 7-2026, Bond Ordinance Providing for the Acquisition of a Sewer Jet and Catch Basin Cleaner by the Borough of Morris Plains in the County of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating $471,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 305,000 bonds or notes of the borough for financing such appropriation, which ordinance was introduced and passed on first reading at a meeting held on June 18, 2026.
I announce that the meeting is open for a public hearing on the ordinance. Seeing no one, I close the public hearing.
I, Councilmember Houston, state that the above ordinance as read by title on second reading at this meeting be adopted and finally passed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Verga. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bruhn,
Yes.
Mr. Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Ivey,
Yes.
Mr. Pontier,
Yes.
Ms. Verga.
Yes.
I declare the ordinance adopted and finally passed.
I, Councilmember Houston, read by title the ordinance entitled Ordinance Number 8-2026, an ordinance providing for the partial amendment of Section 18-2, quote, Department established, unquote, in Chapter 18, Police Department of the Revised Ordinances of the Borough of Morris Plains, New Jersey, 1972, by increasing the number of sergeants within the police department from 5 to 6 sergeants, which ordinance was introduced and passed on first reading at a meeting held on June 18, 2026.
I again announce that the meeting is open for a public hearing on the ordinance. Being nobody, I close the public hearing.
I, Councilmember Houston, state that the above ordinance as read by title on second reading at this meeting be adopted and finally passed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Pontier. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bruhn?
Yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Ivey?
Yes.
Mr. Pontier?
Yes.
Ms. Verga?
Yes.
I declare the ordinance adopted and finally passed.
I, Councilmember Houston, read by title the ordinance entitled Ordinance Number 9-2026. An ordinance providing for the partial amendment of Chapter 22A of the revised ordinances of the Borough of Morris Plains, New Jersey, 1972, entitled Mini Bikes, Motorized Bicycles, and Motorcycles by adding electric scooter and electric bicycle operation, parking, and battery safety regulations, which ordinance was introduced and passed on first reading at a meeting held on June 18th, 2026.
I announce the meeting is open for a public hearing on the ordinance.
Steve Persack, 34 Washington.
Steve?
Hey,
What's up, Steve?
What, I'm sorry, what number, Washington?
34. Yeah. Right. Good evening. I've been in correspondence with a few members on the council on this ordinance tonight, and I first and foremost support it passing. The July 19th deadline is real, and council has mentioned a September amendment process. I am here to be useful to that process. I'm an avid cyclist. I've raced competitively up and down the eastern seaboard. I commuted year-round through Manhattan, Brooklyn, Hoboken, and all parts of New Jersey. And when my schedule permits, I still bike commute to Rahway. I ride with my kids everywhere, and I know what it means to be the most vulnerable person on the road. I read this ordinance looking for language that enables safe riding. It isn't there. What's there is a restriction. Prohibition without enablement doesn't produce safety. It produces fewer riders and the same dangerous streets. For example, we discussed this when I was here last. I have a Class 3 assist e-cargo bike. I often put my two young girls on the back of it and we ride around town. My example is riding eastward on Franklin Road towards 202. I am on the road, and often there's cars parked on both sides, and then if there is two-way traffic, I will subvert off the road to maintain safety and move onto the sidewalk. As I read the ordinance, that would be in violation of it. Okay, example one. Example two is I continue on Franklin. I'm sitting at the intersection going to make a left onto 202 North. I have one young daughter that attends Special Spot off of Ridgedale Avenue. I will roll my bike there to pick her up. So I make the left onto 202 to go under the train overpass. Same ordinance, same violation. I cannot move onto the sidewalk to maintain my safety as I travel underneath that overpass. I think we all understand how tight that overpass or underpass can get with traffic. Using that sidewalk in both of those instances is a violation of the ordinance. It's not a safety ordinance, it's a restriction ordinance. So, with that said, a few simple suggestions. One, I think this one's obvious, a narrow emergency sidewalk exception. I have an imminent hazard, there's reduced speed, I need to yield to pedestrians, but the language is simple, unless unsafe to do so. Second, a speed enforcement plan. Speed limits, as we know, are difficult to enforce, and without a concrete plan, they are often the appearance of safety, not safety itself. The September amendment should focus on what tools, radar, speed display signs, etc., are available and budgeted before the amendment takes place. Last one. Nighttime curfew. I cannot find any data supporting the effectiveness as a town-wide curfew. My suggestion is to enforce existing lighting requirements and let families get home after dark. Don't restrict the behavior, require the equipment. Hoboken hasn't had a traffic death since 2017. It's not because they wrote stricter ordinances, but because they redesigned streets so safe behavior became the easy behavior. They view the need for regular enforcement as a signal that their infrastructure isn't working. Don't just tell riders where they can't go. Give them somewhere safe to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Great suggestions.
All right, good evening. Dexter Cooks, Safe Sunrise.
Go, Dexter.
How we doing? It's nice to see everyone. I see many of you around town riding my own e-cargo bike with my kids attached. Right, I've been riding bikes since 1985. Worked in the bike industry, I don't know, since '94. And I came here tonight to talk about a couple concerns I have with the draft ordinance, right? Particularly age restrictions and night riding was the big one that I have a little more on. A lot of these, I think, if anyone has read, there's a recent book in the last 2 years. It's been very popular. The Next Generation, right, lays out some of the problems with overparenting. Minimizing children's abilities to take risks, safe risks, controlled risks, and some of the challenges that happen as they grow up and develop, become adults, have not had that experience to understand and manage and take those risks. Right, so simply, simple prohibition against riding at night eliminates some of the opportunity, and it discourages the practice to learn some of the safe cycling habits. And I'll add, this is during a time of epidemic or endemic childhood obesity, right? So this is outdoor activity, great physical activity, great for physical fitness. I will say also, right, that I'm familiar, I think there's been some discussion about, analogy to a graduated driver's license, right, for riding at night. And I'll say that a car is quite a bit more complex and dangerous than a bicycle. If a child, or if a young adult can handle a car at age 18 at night, they can certainly handle a bicycle at whatever age they're allowed to legally ride at, maybe 15 in the ordinance. It is unfortunately less common for youth to develop and enjoy healthy and safe cycling after they become 18, right? So closing that door on them during that critical window really kind of serves to put a damper on that whole thing. Night riding at night, relatively safe, all things considered, right? Very satisfying, a lot of fun. Morris Place is a great place for it. I'm out quite a bit at night. If there is a safe place to ride at night, I think it's here. And I think the real way to do this is to let the children learn how to manage risks while they're in a relatively safe environment. That's how they develop. Kind of where I'll leave it as a summary, it's just cleaned up a little bit, a little PG, right? I understand there are concerns about, inappropriate behavior, especially from youth at night. There's a very common saying, right, that you're not gonna make everyone wear diapers because one person poops their pants. So I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Good evening, Jim Hunt, 44 J-Quai.
Hey, Jim.
Good evening. I'd like to turn to the e-bike ordinance as well, but a couple of things first. I want to make sure I add my thanks to everybody who worked so hard during the storm. We were so lucky we got power back at 3 a.m. in the morning. I felt like I was given a gift of some kind because the power came back, so thanks to everybody. Also found it very interesting on many of these discussions tonight about whether it's a light for the crosswalk or somebody getting past, almost hit with a dog. By the way, I'm out with a dog more than I used to be too, so I see that. All come down to, in many ways, an interrelated set of problems. Land use, travel, restrictions, all of those go together. Part of that, we hope, with Completely Green Streets policy will give us a direction to begin to bring these things together so it's safety by design and not safety by accident or crash or death. We need to move forward so that we can get ahead of capital plans. 6 years out, we need to be looking at things in a different way for those capital projects and planning so that we can bring together all the things that will count to making things safer along the way. A couple of questions. One, I was doing some research on the website, which is, I'm so happy we have it. The resolutions don't have hot links, so I can just call up the resolution. Just if we could do that, it would be wonderful, along with the ordinances and the other kinds of things. I applaud this movement toward the data centers and the detention facilities. Certainly environmentally, it's proven, I think it would prove to be important. In addition, it's a safety issue from my perspective, because that road on Tabor Road is a perfect road for cycling. It's a perfect road for commuting, it's a perfect road for walking. And if we have a detention center or a data center or all those, I think interfere with it, never mind the warehouse itself. So just a couple of things. So now the e-bike ordinance. I think it was probably 15 years or so ago that my bike club, when I was president, began to anticipate the involvement of e-bicycles. Do we let them ride with us? Do we want an e-bike among us? Most of us thought it was cheating. Who dare ride an e-bike? I mean, we're cyclists. But we began to understand that people are going to do it, especially as they get older, which I understand better now than I did then. So we began to explore, well, what are these things? Where did they go? How did they do it? And we began to realize that there was a dearth of regulation really across the board when it came to e-bikes. There just weren't enough people thinking about it. The New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition, we held a seminar about e-bikes about 10 years ago. We have been pushing the state for years to come up with something that's reasonable. Finally, the Senate President, because of some very unfortunate crashes involving e-bikes, most of which were created by motor vehicles and not by the e-bikes themselves, pushed through at the last minute a state bill that's horrendous. We've been trying as advocates to stop or amend that bill. We first failed to stop it. We've been trying to amend it, they won't do it. It gives us a real problem here when we're trying to create an ordinance. And I want to commend you for coming up with one of the most comprehensive of these ordinances I've read, and I've read many of them in the towns around us. The state law governing the bicycles obviously didn't help. It's excellent given the state deadline, but the ordinance has to be improved through amendments, which has been referenced already, and I would hope that they could be made in a timely manner. We all agree something's got to be done, but that something must include a recognition by motorists that our roads, trails, and sidewalks are and will increasingly be shared by these e-personal conveyances. Years ago, I led the team that created the New Jersey Safe Passing Law. As passed and amended, it covers all vulnerable road users, from walkers and runners to pedal and e-cyclists, wheelchair users, first responders, and others. Slow down, give them 4 feet, pass with care. By the way, if this passes, one of the amendments I would recommend is that we require those who use scooters and e-bicycles to also, because they are covered, we must leave 4 feet for pedestrians because they are more vulnerable than we are. But in any case, anybody on any personal device is more vulnerable than a car, look at the Jeep Wagoneers and the Cadillac Escalades and huge cars. I've probably ridden over 150,000 miles during the time I've cycled. I've ridden through New York, I've ridden in Europe, I've ridden through Morristown constantly, regularly, I should say. And I had the scariest moment of my cycling life 2 weeks ago on Whatnot, teaching my 8-year-old granddaughter to ride. We're coming up, stay to the right, Francesca, stay to the right, look around you. I'm coming up and suddenly I see a car coming down Juniper about to run the stoplight, gunning in one of the, about 6,000 pounds, I guess, 7,000 pounds. She may weigh 100 pounds if that with a bike. Guy, I yell my head off, he stops just short of coming into the intersection, potentially killing her. I go up to him and say, what were you thinking? I didn't see you. Excuse me, what do you mean you didn't see me? Is that an excuse? I didn't see you. And then he rolled up the window and went on. What I found interesting, he said, I didn't see you. He didn't say, I didn't see your granddaughter. He didn't see her. These large cars have new pillars that are restricting. There are more blind spots in those cars. Extraordinarily dangerous. So when we do an ordinance about e-bikes and scooters, let's remember who the vulnerable people are. Not just pedal cyclists, not just my granddaughter, but anybody coming through town who has to work, wants to get to the train station from Morris Township. Many of them work in a restaurant downtown Morristown, they use the train here. We're gonna have people from all over going on. The ordinance is questionable in terms of whether we have the right to control people coming in from other towns, at least as it's written. Having said that, I think there's some good things in the ordinance, and I would support its passage and its amendment, as I mentioned. The individual edits that I have, I'll share later, and there are many, but I hope they can be helpful in making it more consistent with state law and our goals. There are two, I believe, that require immediate attention even before passing this tonight, if that's even possible. In the manner of riding section, the ordinance would allow the use of an earphone, only one, and hands-free electronic communication. Whether one ear or an iPhone on the handlebars, these distractions endanger the riders and those with whom they will share the roads. There should be no music playing when you're trying to ride. Let's hope the drivers would stop the distractions, all of which are dangerous. But in the ordinance right now, it is permitted for them to use those devices. It really shouldn't be eliminated, I believe. Other questions? Did the borough, in going beyond the state law with regard to scooters, explore setting an age requirement for scooter riders? The state law is absent in this information. In fact, it allows, and I see 10-year-olds on scooters through my neighborhood. Today I'm driving down 202, and coming at me is a kid on a scooter, followed by a kid on an e-bike, coming against me in the shoulder. I realized, what the heck are they thinking? There are people on the sidewalk. They're trying not to hit people on the sidewalk. They're not on the other side. They don't know where to go. We should at least think about allowing kids to learn, and yes, I want them to have those experiences just like you do, so that they become cyclists in the future and they're not afraid to do things. But they don't really understand the rules of the road. Mountain Way, coming past, walking my dog, sidewalk, kid zooms out of the church parking lot, because I live on Jake White, I'm through the church to Mountain Way, zooms out of the parking lot into the middle of Mountain Way and proceeds. They really don't understand how to run. The education component of this, is which I fully support, is extraordinarily important. But it's got to include motorists, and not just kids. It's got to include parents, not just bike shops. It's got to include everybody, because we all share the road and share the responsibility. Other than commercial use, how does the borough manage riders from other towns and states? The New Jersey law says now that people from out of state can bring their e-bikes, and they're not subject to the law. Kind of a strange law. And does the borough have parking regulations for the delivery vehicles and landscaper trucks and the trailers that block shoulders and force anybody trying to stay to the right out into the middle of the lane? Because all of us have seen what happens when FedEx is delivering or UPS is delivering, or when the enormous truck and the enormous trailer that the landscapers use pull over and block. Almost regularly I ride Grannis and almost block the entire lane on Grannis if you're trying to go around and forcing you out in the street. So I think there are a lot of questions. I think the amendment process is important. It's the one suggestion I make, to try and eliminate that tonight before you pass even this ordinance as it's now put before you. And I look forward to working with you both on the e-bike ordinance and on our continued work. Thank you for your kind words, Tyler. You've done as much work as anybody on this. So I look forward to that policy and a future where we can make it safe by design. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll definitely be leaning on, Dexter, Steve, Jim, all you guys, because you're the ones really out there with that experience, and that's vital. So that's absolutely something that we look forward to working together with you on that, because again, we absolutely plan on making those amendments to make it so it's safer. That ultimately is the goal of why we did this, is to keep the road safer. And I think it will be a working sort of document, but again, you all made great suggestions. I wrote them down, and you have my word that we will be discussing those and continuing that conversation to try and get that language added so we can get it in there for you.
I think we have to address what can be changed before second reading or an adoption.
So I would suggest, my suggestion is to hold off on the second reading of this then, and have the ordinance committee look at some of these things before we put it into place. But that's my suggestion.
My point was, I think we talked about this last time, that material changes, isn't there, what's the phrase?
There's too much.
It can be administrative, but not.
It can be administrative, but it can't be substantive changes.
Substantive changes.
So for example, changes that,
Here.
for lack of, I guess, a better example, Mr. Hunt does raise a very good point about this earphones and the language that's contained within the statute now. However, changing that tonight before second reading is a substantive change and simply violates the law. So I caution council here tonight to make significant or numerous changes to the ordinance, at least facially, because it's really not permitted. It raises notice requirements. To a certain extent, you are married to the ordinance as it was passed on first reading. You can make some minor grammatical changes, some stylistic changes, but you can't really touch upon hours, ages, curfews, things like that. That all changes the substance of the ordinance. So again, you're somewhat married to what was passed. I won't beat a dead horse, but you're stuck with what's on for first reading, at least in terms of tonight. Now, can you pass what you've passed on first reading tonight and then make amendments, as I've heard through the grapevine? You can do that.
Can't we rescind this ordinance and start?
You could also rescind the ordinance if council chooses to rescind the ordinance and then go back to the drawing board. That's another option that you have. But I would caution about sitting here tonight and trying to change this and making notes of that. I think you're all in tonight or you're all out. And if you're all in, you can amend it in the near future, of course. I'm just not comfortable tonight doing, let's take sentence 2 out of paragraph 3, let's change it from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Those are all just, I recommend against that.
So I think, first of all, I appreciate everybody's comments. I'm not sure if there were any other comments. I know we did anybody else have any other comments? We heard from 3 people. Okay, so I do appreciate everybody's comments, and I think that they are substantial and they're important. And I do, however, think that, the state law goes into effect 3 days from now. The entire reason that we started this process months ago, right? And we met with Chris Shea, we went with Chief Karowski, we've gone through the traffic committee, right? We put a lot of work into this. It's not perfect, but tell me what law is perfect, right? There's not a single law here that's perfect. And if we wait till we get it perfect, there will never be any laws, right? Because it's never perfect. The whole process of government is that we can amend these things to improve them as we go. I think that I think that we need to pass it tonight because it sets a baseline for safety in the borough, and it fills the gaps that the state law just blatantly didn't pick up on. My commitment to the residents and to the council would be that if we do pass it tonight, that I would get to work immediately on making these amendments. Part of that would be doing public engagement, right? Having, going down to the farmer's market or holding public sessions or working with the police department to, do public education, but getting resident feedback on this so that we can update it and make it better. But I think that to pull it tonight for a couple of very important comments, but that would just negate all the work that we've done, and we have to start this process all over again and go through another 2 readings, I think sets us back, and quite frankly, I don't think it does a service to the residents of Morris Plains. I think with the law passing in 3 days, the having this in place sets a baseline of rules that people can follow, and then we, just like with any law that we do and any ordinance that we pass, we amend them all the time. This is an interest of public safety. There's a number of issues that were mentioned about nighttime riding and other things, and I think those are all important things that we need to incorporate. But I really do think that we need to pass this tonight, and then I will commit to working on this. My goal would be to have the amendments done prior to the beginning of the school year, and that's September. It's not a long time. We only have 2 meetings between now and then, but that would be my commitment. So I would ask for the council's support to pass this on second reading as is, with no changes, as Mr. Horan suggested. And then we can amend it after public input in the future.
So just, you wanna get this by September, and that was my point, you still have time, if you have 30 days to get this correct for an introduction at our next meeting, and then adoption for the, September 3rd, or whatever that meeting is, which would probably be before the school, instead of coming out with, I'll say, 2 versions, but that's just my suggestion. I mean, we sat here at that last meeting, and we had quite a dialogue,
We did.
and put stuff, and took stuff
great.
out, and
That's how the process works. It was excellent. A lot of people love that.
yeah, but regardless, but I'm just saying, I think that, once you start dialoguing with it, you're gonna find other things, so.
Well, and that's kind of my point,
But
right?
that's what I mean, so it's gonna change things that are already maybe, that have been now adopted, right? That
Happens
you
all the
may-
time.
Yeah, but then you may have to take stuff out.
Happens all the time.
Okay.
In
My
ordinances.
suggestion-
My suggestion, or my response to that would be, okay, so if we do pull it and we wait till the next time, then we have more comment. And then we keep pulling it and
I
nothing
think
gets
if-
passed.
I think if the ordinance committee
So-
and your commitment, like you said, is to work on this and get it done by the November or September, by the time school's open, and that gets distributed between now and the next meeting with the changes, I think those comments would be able to come to you, but that's just my suggestion.
I have a couple of questions, like,
Sure. One.
what are the provisions here that are urgent to have passed at the same time that the state ordinance goes into effect?
So the state ordinance does nothing for e-scooters.
I know.
But that takes
let's
effect,
see.
right, but there's also a grace period, isn't there, from when that law takes effect until when
I
it's
mean,
enforceable?
I have to defer to the police department on whether there's a grace period, but my understanding is,
I think this is the grace
This,
period.
you're in it now?
we're in it now.
It was passed in January.
So yeah, July 19th that's when the law takes effect, and that's when it's enforceable.
First
So,
day of school is September 2nd.
Thank you.
It's early, it's before Labor Day, so
Okay,
just
thank
to
you.
be aware.
Yeah, I think our
Starts in
meeting's on
August
the
this
3rd,
year,
so.
But as I said earlier, the state law, let's see. Yeah,
I mean, will the state law be able to bridge between now and September 3rd?
No, that's the whole point of doing this, is that there's things that are not in the state law. So like vehicle classifications, helmet requirements, speed of where you can ride, commercial delivery accountability, battery fire safety is not even addressed in the state law. Enforcement, all of these things do not exist in the state law. And they, for example, a low-speed electric bike, which is pedal assist, only and tops out at 20 miles an hour, not mentioned in the state law. Motorized bicycle, which has a throttle and can go up to 28 miles an hour, not mentioned in the state law, right? All these different classifications that are important, helmet requirements. Low-speed e-bikes, riders under 17 must wear an ANSI or Snell certified helmet. Motorized bikes, everyone, all ages must wear one. And for e-motos, every rider must wear a full DOT certified motorcycle helmet because of the speed that they can go in. The state cap is at 20 miles an hour, but the ordinance gives us the ability to designate reduced speed zones as low as 15 miles an hour. We restrict e-bikes and e-scooters on borough property to only paved surfaces. The state law does nothing with that. Commercial driving accountability says nothing about commercial driving accountability, which we talked in depth about last time. Battery fire safety, right? We all know, because there were 2 public incidents that happened, what happens when you store an e-bike in your house, right? That's not addressed at all. This addresses that.
Is there a grace period with the ordinance that our ordinance is? Is there gonna be a grace period?
Well, there's an education period. So as we talked to the chief about, right, the ordinance takes effect the day that, we do it, right? But as we talked to the chief about, right, he said there's an education period, right? So, and I believe.
So then you'll have 2 education periods?
What do you mean, 2 education?
We pass
One
it
now, and then one when you do an amendment? I think that's redundant if you're gonna do that.
No, it's education on e-bike safety in general, right? So right now, you can go out tonight and you can see people riding their e-scooters with no helmets, no lights, nothing, through the town up to Morristown. I saw it the other night, right? Extremely dangerous. On July 19th, that all changes, but it doesn't give us any of the protections that, or any of the, enforcement inside of Morris Plains. So this is where that fills those gaps. Like I said, I know that it's not perfect. I understand and I hear the residents' feedback, but I don't think that 2.5 months of work should be pulled right at the cusp of when the state's about to pass it, when you have my commitment to amend these things so that we can incorporate the.
Yeah, we understand that part,
So-
the amendment part, but, okay, let's go for you. Whatever you guys decide.
I just want to add that in 2023, an ordinance was passed in a similar situation where there were concerns about the ordinance being passed that were expressed at the first reading, and the commentary on the dais was that we can amend this thing the day after it's passed. And 3 years went by before one of the provisions of that ordinance that was in question was rescinded from that ordinance. And there are other changes that we're looking to make now, but my point is, if you don't pass it, there's a sense of urgency around getting it done. If you have something that's there, it's like, okay, we got something, let's live with it, and we still can make these changes and we have time, and I think not passing it gives us that sense of urgency to get it done.
You have my commitment, Ms. Verga, that I will not sit on this thing.
I'm not accusing you. I'm not accusing you.
But you're putting the seed in there that it could possibly be that somebody would sit on it and not do anything about it. That will not happen. I will not sit on it. I will take the residents' feedback. We will look to amend this as quick as possible. I don't know, I'll hold public thing, whatever people want to do to make sure that I'll stay accountable for this, but you have my commitment that this will be done. I hear you that in the past, it was, it specifically had to do with McDonald's property drive-throughs, right? That was a thing that came in, and then it took a while for it to not come, to be brought out. And the impact was detrimental, in my opinion, to the community. But again, it isn't perfect, but given the urgency with the residents tonight, I will personally take it upon myself to meet with them, to get their feedback, and then propose an amendment to the ordinance so that we can incorporate that. But it's not a one and done process, right? No law should be, right? Every law should constantly be updated and fixed. And I think this is no different. This is a brand new law. We've never had it before, so I appreciate and I understand the comments on it. But I am not gonna sit on it and wait for 2.5 years and nothing be done about it. So.
I would just suggest then that if we have an education program, that we are going over the basic education pieces of the introduced ordinance, the things that we think will be most likely to be enforced, rather than go into some of these details that are still under discussion, so that we don't have to reteach things that we taught 2 months ago and start from scratch. But the basic things like the safety equipment, the helmets and things, the lights, those are not going to change. So I just don't want to invest resources in creating a whole education program and then having to start from scratch and then try to reach people who were instructed incorrectly.
So just to be clear, the only reason why I say September is because, unless I'm mistaken, we only have 1 meeting in August, and then we have 1 meeting in September.
Yeah,
I would do it quicker than that,
I'm aware.
but we don't have quicker meetings unless we want to create a meeting in August, which I'm in favor of.
Yeah, but it gives you 30 days to correct this or add or delete things, right? And then introduce a clean ordinance, and then have it seconded, it's September 3rd, the day after school.
And I think that this is clean as it is. I think it needs amendments, but I don't think that these amendments should withhold us from passing this tonight.
We'll go around and we'll see, you wanna continue reading, and we'll see where the council wants to
Okay.
take up on this.
Do you have to close the public hearing first?
I see no one else.
Can I just make a quick comment?
Just a really fast comment.
Rob Mackler, 2 Maple Ave. I just wanted to note that in support of Bill's position, I think all 3 residents that testified or came up and spoke all said they supported passing this as it is. So I just didn't want people to forget that although they had feedback, they did say it should pass.
Yeah.
That certainly is not the issue. We understand that part, but anyway, we'll go around and I close the public portion.
Great. Councilmember Houston state that the above ordinance as read by title on second reading at this meeting be adopted and finally passed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Verga. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bruhn?
Just a quick comment. I completely see both sides, but I remember that ordinance and it took a long time, so I appreciate your efforts and I'll say yes.
Mr. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Ivey?
I believe that wholesale, this is a correct ordinance, and I believe that there is a lot of input that, thanks to the folks that joined, there is a genuine desire to make this amendment for September. I don't know in the example that you provided if they were genuinely intending to make any changes, except to maybe appease people at that particular meeting. So yes.
Mr. Pontier?
Similar, I vote yes, and I trust Bill, and I do know that he will make these amendments, and as a member of the ordinance committee, you also have my commitment that I will listen to people and I will make them, and we will move quickly. I think we can even have some amendments as soon as the next meeting, or September, or both, ultimately, so yes.
Ms. Verga?
Yes.
Okay, I declare the ordinance adopted and finally passed.
Thank you, everybody.
Moving on, we have no unfinished business, no new business, no resolutions. We do have vouchers. Ms. Verga.
Yes, sir. I move that the checklist dated July 16th, 2026, in the amount of $2,575,092.53 be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bruhn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. We have no need for an executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The ayes have it. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your summer moving forward.